Welcome to the Always Bayern Chelsea show, where my friend Jim and I talk about soccer. We talk about football, if that's what you prefer to call it. My name's Danny, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different because, as we've been talking about, Jim is across the pond in London. So we have a couple of voice recordings from Jim, and then to make up for Jim's absence, we have probably the most special guest we could ever have for this program. So we'll leave that as a surprise. Hopefully people keep listening until then. But yeah, as of right now, you just got me, as Jim's over in London. It is Saturday, March 30th, and we kind of had two disappointing matches. To be honest, from the standpoint of Bayern Munich, a 0-2 loss to Dortmund, and Chelsea drew Burnley 2-2. So I think as of right now, I'm going to go over my thoughts on the Chelsea-Burnley match and then play the couple of audio recordings that Jim sent me. I'm going to give a more detailed look at the Bayern Munich match, and then our surprise guest will give some more thoughts too, and then kind of just conclude it from there. So I guess the only other thing to mention, housekeeping-wise, up front is today and going forward, we have been posting on Twitter our kind of live match reactions. And also, if you want to see some beautiful photos of Stamford Bridge that Jim took over in London, you can go check us out there. It's at Always Bay Che or Always Bayern Chelsea. It should show up if you look for it. So yeah, here we are on Saturday with some match reactions. As mentioned, Chelsea drew Burnley 2-2 today. So it's a little bit of a bummer for Chelsea fans. Chelsea sits at 11th in the Premier League with 40 points. And Burnley is 19th at the bottom of the table with 18 points. I did catch a good chunk of that match, so you can kind of see my thoughts on Twitter. But I think I'm going to roll Jim's initial thoughts about Stamford Bridge and his kind of excursions over in London. So here's the voice memos that Jim sent me.
First audio of the day for the pod, and we're at the first pub. 11 a.m. we got here when it opened. Really nobody here right now. You can only be a Chelsea fan to get in, and vibes are high right now, just from me personally. Really expecting a win, really anticipating an insane Stamford Bridge environment. More notes to come. Second pub was a lot better. Talked to some locals. Had a great time. A few beers watching the Newcastle West Ham game. Now just outside of Stamford Bridge. Just got a match day scarf. Got an official program. You can just tell it's going to be an electric atmosphere and a great match.
Okay, so yeah, that was Jim's excitement before the match, and as you can see, there's a little bit of a different taste after the match. But yeah, from what I could see, I guess the bright spots for Chelsea, obviously Cole Palmer with 2 goals, just continuing on with a great season, at least from what I've seen, and just great play for Cole Palmer overall with Chelsea. And I also liked what I saw from Mudryk, Jim's boy. He was kind of creating and helping Chelsea with the building, so that was good. And then I also thought Enzo played pretty well too. The only other note I guess I have on Chelsea is I don't think there's much to say. That's a team that they should beat. But Burnley's goalie was playing very well and put on a very good showing. So I guess now I'm going to roll the one sad audio message. I guess maybe disappointed is the right word. Audio message that I got from Jim after the Chelsea-Burnley match.
Couple quick thoughts. Not going to give a full analysis because I'm too upset. Just disgusting. Too many chances. You just hate to see it. Really don't know what to say, to be honest. Disappointing. With how the season's gone, it's not that surprising.
Okay, so with that, I'm sure we're going to be getting more of a reaction from Jim on Chelsea-Burnley, but that's what we got for now today. And then I guess sort of similar on the Bayern end. Bayern just couldn't put things together today with a 0-2 loss to Dortmund. Actually, now that I kind of think about it, Bayern and Chelsea sort of have a little bit of a similar issue where they're just not playing together as a team. You know, maybe they're looking good in terms of possession or XG, but really neither team is putting the ball in the back of the net and kind of stringing things together as they should be. But yeah, I guess regardless of that, what we can say is that as Bayern fans, at this point, the Champions League is kind of what we have our sights on. As Leverkusen won again today, the gap between Bayern and Leverkusen in the Bundesliga table is now 13 points, which I guess mathematically is still possible, but in reality, the Bundesliga is all but lost for Bayern, and they actually now have to worry about Stuttgart. If Stuttgart wins tomorrow, they will be 1 point away from Bayern for second place. So with that win, Dortmund gains 3 points and now has 53 points, and Dortmund remains in fourth in the Bundesliga. So I guess moving on to how I would rate each player on Bayern Munich and just kind of my overall thoughts on different performances. We can start with I guess goalkeeper, since as we kind of talked about in the preview episode, Manuel Neuer was hurt and did not play, so Sven Ulreich was in between the sticks for Bayern, and I'm giving him a 5, I guess, as in 5 out of 10. He was pretty average, or pretty much what I expected to see from him. I thought that he could have saved the first goal that Dortmund had, but he did have a couple of nice saves throughout the match, so it's kind of what I expected from him. You know, I'm just gonna give him a 5 out of 10. It seemed pretty much average. And yeah, I guess I should mention this subjective scale that I have in my head. 5 is average. Anything above 5 is probably a little bit better than average. Anything below 5 is a little bit below average. And then I guess moving on to the defense for Bayern, Joshua Kimmich at right back again. I thought he was one of the better players for Bayern today. He was kind of pushing up and creating a little bit more than some other players. So I'm going to give him a 7 for today. Alphonso Davies, on the other hand, I'm giving a 4, which might be a little bit harsh, but he seems checked out to me. If I've said it once, I guess I've said it a million times, but I think his mind is in Madrid, and he has not been playing up to his potential lately. He's been injured, but I just don't think he's been playing like the kind of player that he is. So I'm giving Davies a 4, and then our center backs, Matthias de Ligt and Eric Dyer, I'm giving them both 5s. I don't know. I guess there was a couple of plays where they maybe seemed a little bit slow, but overall, you know, I think they played fine. I don't know if there was a ton more that they could have done, but, you know, just a little bit flat perhaps. So, you know, they're both getting a 5 from me. And then I think moving on to the midfield, Konrad Leimer played for Alexander Pavlovich because he's still recovering from tonsillitis, and then Leon Goretzka. I would say both of them probably had about a 6 performance. It's kind of a theme with Bayern's overall performance today, but I'm giving these guys both 6s. There were times where I thought that they controlled the ball pretty well, but overall they did not create like I was hoping, so just kind of more flat play, which is a bit of a bummer at this point in the season, and especially with Bayern's recent form. I was hoping that they'd be able to string something together here that would kind of give me hope for Champions League and for the rest of the season. And then moving up, I'm giving Sané and Muller both 6s because there were times again where I thought that they were controlling the ball nicely. Sané continues to slump from the standpoint of not scoring goals, which is a bit of a bummer for him. He can do a lot more. He's shown us that he can do a lot more, especially in the first half of the season. So I'm hoping for his sake that he gets back on track soon. And then Thomas Muller, I like him. I've always liked him. I think he's an intelligent player. I think the team is better when he's out there. But again, just the whole team seemed flat and uninspired today. So Muller gets a 6. I'm actually giving Jamal Musiala a 5. And that might just be because I really think that he played pretty far below his potential. Especially lately, we've seen Musiala do some very special things, but not today. I guess there's a chance that fatigue from the international break is setting in. But overall, I'm giving Jamal Musiala a 5. And then up to Harry Kane. Now, I'm going to give Harry Kane a 7, which might be a little bit high. It might be showing my bias towards my man Harry Kane. But my rationale for that, even though he didn't have his best match, is sometimes as a striker, things just aren't going to fall for you. You're just not going to have your best match. But that being said, I did see Kane with chances. I did see Kane, up there showing some fight, and he actually scored a goal in the 88th or the 89th minute that was called back because he was just a hair offside. And sure, maybe he missed a couple that I think there were maybe 1 or 2 beautiful assists from Kimmich or would be assists if Kane would have put him in the net. But overall, he was there, and like I said, as a striker, you aren't always going to have these amazing games where you're scoring 3 goals and lighting everybody up. So I guess that was my my overall assessment of the starters. And then there was a handful of subs that came on. Kingsley Coman, which it was really good to see him back. This was actually his first loss against Dortmund, I believe, in his career, which is pretty incredible. But yeah, I'm giving Kingsley Coman, Serge Gnabry, and then Tell a 7 for all 3 of those guys when they all came on at the same time. They seemed to spark a little bit of life in the team. They all kind of contributed to some level of attack that I thought looked promising. Now, who's to say? Maybe it's just because these guys kind of came on fresh against a Dortmund team who had been already playing 60, 70 minutes, but nonetheless, I liked what I saw from them. And then Mazraoui came on later on, and so did Choupo, and I'm going to give them both 6s. They weren't on the pitch for very long today, but overall, I don't think they really did anything bad. They kind of fit in nicely for the time that they came on, and kind of did what they could. So overall, I kind of said it a bunch of times, but flat is the word I would use to describe this performance. And I think that is a reflection of what Bayern has been for the most part this season. They have all this individual talent, but can't seem to string things together. And I think that is a reflection of Tuchel's tactics, his kind of defensive-minded U-ball passive play that was on full display today. And I actually think that Tuchel, for the most part, made the right decisions with the lineup. He kind of stuck with what was working, and that's honestly what I think I would have done if I was in his shoes. And I even liked the subs that he brought in. I thought all the subs he brought in were correct at the right time. But the team just couldn't stick together and kind of show what they're really what they're made of, what their potential really is. So that was my I guess gloomy reaction after the Bayern Munich and Dortmund match here today. Watched it at the old German beer hall in Milwaukee, which is a beautiful place. But I think now it's time for me to introduce our extremely special guest to give her thoughts on the match today. So I'm gonna hand it off to my girlfriend Maddie, who watched the match at the German beer hall with me.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Maddie, as Danny introduced, and I have the honor of filling in for Jim today while he's in London. I'll be giving my take as a casual fan on today's Bayern game. Like you said, we watched it at the beer hall, along with the rest of the fan club. Yeah, so our game started out a little frustrating as we watched Dortmund basically roll the ball into Bayern's goal. And it continued to be frustrating as it seemed like Bayern built up some momentum and then never really got much of a payoff. They couldn't really put it near the goal or in the goal, but they got it kind of close. But kind of close doesn't score you points. It was exciting when Harry Kane scored that nice header towards the very end, but then not so exciting when it was overturned for being offsides. The energy at the beer hall when we walked in was really hopeful and enthusiastic, but everyone kind of seemed to accept defeat as the game went on, based on Bayern showing this whole season. All in all, it seemed to be more about being there and showing up rather than winning, which, as a casual supporter in sports, kind of illiterate person, I can really appreciate that. I like showing up and being there for the team. We saw the full spectrum of Bayern jerseys, which was exciting. Anywhere from like the home, away, the Champions League jersey, as well as the Oktoberfest jersey, which is my personal fave. I had a nice liter of beer and washed it down with some fries and some curry ketchup. So I had a great time, and those are my thoughts.
Thank you so much for that lovely breakdown. Yeah, I really couldn't have said any of that better myself. So thank you, Maddie. So to wrap things up overall for this episode of the Always Bayern Chelsea program, what you can expect from us going forward is, hopefully, if technology works out in our favor, I'd like to get a little bit of a video episode this week with Jim in London, so you don't have to miss him too much. Hopefully we can kind of figure out how to record a Zoom midweek. We'll say Wednesday for now, but it's going to depend on schedules, and get a preview out for next weekend's matches. And that would be on our YouTube channel, which is Always Bayern Chelsea. And other than that, expect the same from us. Like we mentioned last time, we're going to try to do a midweek preview and then post-match reaction over the weekend. So I guess the only other thing left to say is, check us out on Twitter at alwaysbayche, always Bayern Chelsea, for some more activity and some more thoughts and reactions. But otherwise, thank you for listening, and as always, go Bayern.